Welcome to the program, friend. I hope that you and your family are well and that your preparations for anything that it is you do on the 4th of July are in fine order. And I thought that it would be good on this July 3rd and 4th to take a look at the Declaration of Independence. I'm actually going to read the entire document. We're going to look at the 4 places in the document that God is referred to, give body and meaning to those references to the Almighty, and look at some of the reasons that the colonists were willing to pick up arms against their fellow British citizens. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, this is somewhat germane today, perhaps more than it's ever been in America, because, as we have covered on this show, a few months ago, a university did a very significant poll in which 29% of the Americans who answered it believed that a physical, violent revolution would be necessary to protect our liberties. Stunningly, 44% of the Republicans in that poll said that they believed a revolution would be necessary to preserve our liberties. That means that nearly half of registered Republicans are so alarmed and so, dare I say, afraid of our own government that they believe we cannot fix this at the ballot box. Whether it's judicial tyranny or the tyranny of this current administration with its horrific spying program, whether it's the ineptness of Congress, whether it's all of the above at state government levels, people are getting very, very nervous. And the fact that such a high percentage of Americans believe that it may be necessary to have a revolution in order to preserve our liberties, that fact behooves us to look at the Declaration of Independence and to look at the things that happened that led up to the Revolutionary War. So that's what I'm going to do. This is hand-picked little snippets out of history, but the purpose of it is to give you a framework. Maybe you've heard of the Sons of Liberty. Maybe you've heard of the Committees of Correspondence. Maybe you've heard of the Stamp Act. Maybe you've heard of the Boston Massacre, the shot heard around the world, give me liberty or give me death. There were all these landmarks, guideposts, if you will, that were happening that culminated with the signing of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. So let's start with the Stamp Act. The Stamp Act was passed in 1765. The British said, wow, we're in some serious debt because of the 7 Years' War between the French and the English, and the Americans were protected by our soldiers, and therefore they should have to foot some of the bill. Well, there is some sound logic in that, but the problem is that the colonists did not have any representatives in Parliament. And Parliament was determined that they not get them. And the British Constitution basically said that you could not tax a British citizen unless he had representation in Parliament. So imagine an area of America where there were no U.S. House of Representatives, and not including Washington, D.C., but like, say, New Mexico. And New Mexico has to submit to all the laws that are passed, but New Mexico has no representation. Well, of course that would be an outrage. And of course, the American colonists said, no, we're not going to do that. Well, the Stamp Act was designed to force Americans to have legal documents processed on paper that had an embossed stamp from Britain. So if you wanted to sell a piece of property and have a transfer deed, the deed was not to be recognized unless the embossed stamp was on the paper. There were many legal instruments such as that well, to function in commerce and in family life, you had to have legal documents. And if the document had to have the Stamp Act on it, it was a way to ensure that the Brits would get the money that they wanted. Well, the Americans said, I don't think so. I don't think so. So what'd they do? When we come back from this break, I'll tell you. It was pretty intense. It was a little scary.